Welcome to The Hero Maker. In this series, we follow Richard's appearances on other shows as he talks about how to grow, play, think, and live like a hero. Join him as he discusses thoughts, principles, and life lessons, all essential for anyone building their heroic brand. All that and more, only on The Hero Maker.
So now you're doing all sorts of things, right? You just started another venture, right?
Yeah, so our next venture is basically called Push Button Podcast, and we just started that this last year, and it was sort of an outgrowth of what we've been doing. So the thing that we were doing was helping brands like online expert brands build their training and education, build their heroic story, which we're going to talk a little bit about later.
Yeah.
And building their courses, building their brand, building their sales materials, webinars, the whole sort of kit and caboodle, and then helping them manage their media buying with whoever they're getting their advertising through, and sort of strategize and advertise through that kind of stuff. And one of the things I told all of my clients, and still do, is that in order to sell whatever things we've created together, you need to have access to an audience to sell them to. And there's two ways you get access to the audience. You either buy the audience with ads, right, or placements or media buying or whatever, where you take some way to get in front of someone's audience with money, or you build the audience, right? And you're going to build the audience with something like a podcast or a YouTube show or a Facebook show or guest blogging or whatever. And it's time, right? You're investing time into get access to the audience. And I've always recommended my clients do both, right? And the reason is it takes time to build an audience, which, obviously puts rev further away from now, where ads you can do right now. But if you do ads, there's no long-term strategy to keep those people around and keep them coming back. So you pay for them, you get them into your course, and either you have some sort of content strategy to keep them engaged, or you lose them. Right? So you've paid for them, you want to keep them engaged, you want to have a content strategy on the other side. So I've always told my clients you should do both. You should have ads for speed, and you should have content for longevity. Right?
Yeah, I like that.
And omnipresence and that kind of stuff. And so I had this whole plan mapped out for clients, like, here's how you can build a weekly show, here's all the things you need to do, here's what you should do with the content, blah, blah, blah. And I just hand it all to them on a silver platter and be like, do this. And as you could probably imagine how that works, the overwhelming majority of my clients were like, that's a great idea, not going to happen. Right. And the ones that did do it, I had probably roughly 25% of my clients over the course of the last 10 years have done that. And those ones that did are all millionaires.
Wow.
Right. And because of their online trainings and stuff like that, and because of the size of the audience that they ended up building. And that is, so it's really, really powerful. And one of the things that I did as a result of that was I started my podcast, my Hero Show podcast. And the Hero Show podcast, I was like, well, I got to figure out a couple of things. One, I had a message I wanted to share. And two, I was like, I got to figure out why my clients aren't doing this. There's got to be something about the process that's making it hard. So I sat down and recorded my first 8 episodes, and I managed to get 3 of them published before I was like, this is never going to happen, right? Because you know as well as I do, for every hour of content you produce, it's like 8 to 10 hours of work on the backside for show notes and articles and transcriptions and getting them up on all the different places and your distribution and like everything goes into it. It's a metric butt ton of work. And so my clients who were doing it and doing it well had a team of people around them to support them to get that out and get it done. Right. And the ones who didn't were the ones who didn't have that kind of support system to get it out. And so that's where Push Button Podcast was born. Because I built it for my own podcast. I was like, I love my message and I love what we're doing for this podcast and it needs to get done. So I built all the systems and processes. So I have a team of people who can handle everything. Like literally for my podcast, I don't do a damn thing. Like I show up and I do the interviews. They do all the guest booking and they do all of the, I'm getting people showing up on my calendar. They do all the research for that. They do as soon as I hit the stop button on our Zoom or whatever it is we're using on Zencaster to record things, it goes into the cloud. They get access to all of it. We get transcriptions, we get show notes, we get articles written, we get all the graphics created. It gets promoted all over social media. It gets out to all the distribution channels. Everything happens every week.
That's
and
awesome.
I don't touch a damn bit of it.
That's awesome.
So we started rolling that out to our clients early this year. We're currently hosting 3 shows on Push Button Podcast, and we're looking to grow to our next 10 shows. We're opening up 7 slots. And we're looking for clients who are looking to build essentially a content marketing machine that they can sort of what do you call it? Front their whole, omnipresence online do it the same way I do, right? I put less than 4 hours a month into my podcast, and we've got over 100 episodes recorded, and I'm known all over the place now because of that.
That's cool.
And we just batch record the episodes at the beginning of the month, and everything else happens automatically.
Oh, nice.
If you want to hear the rest of this discussion, please check out the link to the full episode in the description below.